Part 87. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 863. Tap tap tap. Yanhua and others controlled the six-eyed red birds and kept moving towards the Yanlong tribe. They ran extremely fast. We'll reach the tribe soon. Shalan has already seen the tribe not far away. It has taken less than 4 hours since the girls took the six-eyed red bird. This is 1 or 2 hours shorter than riding in a hot air balloon. It can be seen that the speed of the six-eyed red bird is really very fast. And the hot air balloon that originally stayed in the forest will be controlled by a dedicated person to fly back to the tribe. Because there are 1 or 2 reserve warriors following Yeju and others, they are mainly responsible for taking care of the hot air balloon staying in the forest. Moreover, they have also prepared that Shalan and others will successfully tame the six-eyed red bird and then ride the six-eyed red bird back to the tribe. Then they will definitely be responsible for controlling the hot air balloon back to the tribe. The Yanlong tribe is here. Not to mention, riding on the back of the six-eyed red bird is really comfortable. Yanhua's hands have already let go of Hung Niao's neck. She puts her hands on the back of the six-eyed red bird, and she relies on her legs to maintain the balance of her body. Although the six-eyed red bird is moving very fast, but it also knows that its owner is sitting on its back. When it is running, it will also pay attention to avoid some rugged terrain to avoid bumps or drop the owner on its back to the ground. Can we ride the six-eyed red bird on missions in the future? Bias I also found it very incredible. The monkey's tail has been wagging since she rode the six-eyed red bird. This shows that the monkey-eared girl is really excited. We don't know yet, we have to see how the witch arranges these six-eyed red birds. Yeju's gray eyes scan the surroundings. After all, the wolf-eared girl is still relatively strong. Even if she has tamed her target, she will still worry about whether there is any danger around her. Although it feels really different when riding on it and running, I still prefer flying. AI curled her lips. The novelty of butterfly girl has passed, and now she still misses the feeling of flying in the sky. She couldn't help but look back at the butterfly wings on her back, and her mood suddenly became better. In the original in this era, not everyone could have a pair of wings. Even in a large tribe with tens of thousands of people, there were very few people with wings. The Yanlong tribe was relatively lucky, and they suddenly had several people with wings on their backs. This is what the Dark Scorpion tribe did not expect. If they knew that there were people with wings in the Yanlong tribe, I believe they would not have sent people out rashly last time. This can only be blamed on the Dark Scorpion tribe. Who let them? The tribe doesn't have anyone with wings. Who doesn't like the feeling of flying in the sky? But we don't have wings either. Shalan shook the cat's tail helplessly. However, the cat-eared girl also likes her cat's tail. At least it can help during training. Being agile and fast is the advantage of the cat-eared girl. Of course, at the beginning she didn't take advantage of this. At first, Shalan didn't like being a totem warrior, so she wasn't that strong. It wasn't until she saw Yanhua working hard all the time, and after meeting Subai, that she slowly changed this mentality and caught up with me. If only Wu could give me the six-eyed red bird, I would definitely ride the six-eyed red bird every day. Yanhua said happily. She really liked the feeling of running. The wind blowing in front of her was very comfortable, and the trees nearby also quickly retreated. After 10 minutes, everyone returned to the entrance of the tribe. The people at the door were shocked when they saw this scene. Look, I must have read it correctly, right? You read that right, those are the six-eyed red birds, and Ahua and the others are also on them. Oh my god, how is this done? Aren't those ferocious beasts very fast? A witch's method, right? Otherwise it would be impossible for everyone to ride on the back of the six-eyed red bird. The people of the Yanlong tribe all exclaimed in exclamation one after another, shocked by the scene in front of them. They were shocked for a while, and then they realized that there were many wild beasts tamed in the tribe. Those beasts were all disobedient at first, or some had a strong temper. But after meeting the witch, all these players were obedient, so the people of the Yanlong tribe had already thought of this. While shocked, I was also very impressed, and even more admired Wu very much. I thought that no one except the Yanlong tribe could do it, right? In addition to the people from the Yanlong tribe at the door, there were also people from other tribes at the door. They were waiting to be inspected and their weapons confiscated before they could go in. They saw the scene before they even entered. Is the scene real? Or am I dazzled? You are not dazzled. This scene is real. I can guarantee it with my eyes. How did they tame the six-eyed red bird? Since everyone can bring one back alive. God, the Yanlong tribe is so terrifying. How many things do we still know about them that we don't know? Why do all those six-eyed red birds look so well behaved? This is unlikely, right? People from other tribes were so shocked that they couldn't even close their jaws. They didn't know that there were wild beasts in the Yanlong tribe. Without the initial foreshadowing, the direct impact on them now is huge. In their long-standing impression, the six-eyed red bird is a ferocious beast known for its speed. When they see this ferocious beast, they will run around in circles. No, the chances of seeing such ferocious beasts are very rare, let alone directly taming them and riding on their backs. This is really crazy. At the same time, in addition to shock, the eyes of the other tribes also showed some envy. Yes, their eyes were full of envy, and they also wanted to try what it would feel like on the back of the six-eyed red bird. I even want to know how they tamed the six-eyed red bird. Wouldn't it be very cool if I could own one? Who wouldn't want to own one? Right? Yanhua heard the discussion of those people while she was still riding on her back, and entered the tribe without paying too much attention. Others also followed in one after another. The six-eyed red bird was also very smart and knew that he should not run at this moment, but walked in slowly. Just at the entrance of the tribe, it caused a commotion among so many people. The impact of entering the tribe can be imagined. People of all sizes who were working and passing by could no longer move forward when they saw this scene. It feels really ostentatious, like this Yanhua can feel the hot gazes from all directions. In addition to envy and jealousy, these gazes also feel very shocking. Let them stay in the circle first, otherwise they will be too ostentatious. Yeju also felt unaccustomed to it. The wolf-eared lady is used to being cold and cold. She suddenly attracted so many hot eyes, and it was inevitable that she would feel uncomfortable all over. Second update, please support and customize. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 864. Woo, we are back. Yanhua trotted all the way up Yong'an building. Niojiao Niang's face was full of happiness, and her tone of voice was particularly lively. Before she even reached the second floor, her cheerful laughter was already spreading. Yet chirp when others took the six-eyed red bird to the breeding ground, they did not follow them up to Yong'an building. The most important thing is that they don't go up there often. Yanhua and Shailin live there, so the nature is a bit different. Lang Er Niang just let the two of them go up and report. There is no need for me to make this extra trip, and the six-eyed red bird needs to be supervised. I have heard your voice, and the clamor within the tribe. Subai slowly raised his head. He was making witch dominoes. He had already made today's witch dominoes for domestication, finger snatching, and plant growth. Now he only has to make the witch dominoes with new talents and skills, and he is still researching them. Among the specific materials. When researching the materials needed to grab the witch dominoes, it took several days, not to mention the subsequent production time. Woo, we have completed the task you assigned us. This task has been successfully completed. Yanhua stuck out her tongue playfully. She didn't care that her voice was a little loud just now, and now she felt a little embarrassed when she was reminded. None of you were injured, right? Especially you, Subai asked worriedly. He also knew that this mission was not easy, even with the paralysis medicine. He had also heard about the speed of the six-eyed red bird, especially when the beast-eared girls left. Yuying also told him carefully. Wu, I am not injured, and everyone is also uninjured. We have brought the six-eyed red bird back to the tribe. Yanhua raised her chin slightly, showing a little proud expression and waiting for praise. After all, Niujiao Niang is more lively and does everything resolutely. As long as you are not injured, it is also your ability to complete such a difficult task without being injured. Subai nodded with satisfaction and continued to ask, is there a six-eyed red bird for each person? Yes, witches, everyone brought one back, and every six-eyed red bird was particularly big. Yanhua opened her hand and gestured. Which, those paralyzing medicines were so useful, those six-eyed red birds fell to the ground in no time. Shalan quickly added. The two of them are still on the mission to capture the six-eyed red bird, and they are still very excited now. Sure enough, there were 6 of them. The paralysis drug still needs to be improved a lot, so we can only wait for Coco to come back, Subai said lightly. He guessed and knew that there were 6 six-eyed red birds. After all, each person brought one back, but he still wanted to have more, so he had a little fantasy. Wu, when can Coco come back? We've been gone for so long, and I already miss her. Yanhua poured herself a cup of tea. Maybe it was because she was too excited along the way, and because she was nervous about performing the task, she always felt that her throat was a little dry. Even after drinking it, she carried an animal skin water bag with her. Water, she still felt very thirsty. I don't know what's going on with the sea fish tribe managed by Coco. The people over there don't know whether to listen or not. Shalan fiddled with her long blue hair. I believe I will be back in a while. If you miss her, you can write to her, Subai said with a smile. Now that there is no Coco in Yong'an building, it is indeed a bit unaccustomed, because at that time the blonde girl was hiding in the laboratory every day. So there would be some noises coming from the laboratory from time to time, as well as the screams of the blonde girl. You must know that Coco is very smart. She also contributed a lot to the research and development of explosive packs. The current paralysis drug is also her masterpiece. Write a letter? Yanhua put down the finished teacup and said doubtfully, Wu, but we don't know many words yet, and Keek probably can't understand it either. I haven't asked you to write yet. You can't write yet, and she can't understand it, but you can draw, Subai said lightly. Painting is the most intuitive way to express emotions, and people who watch it will also find it very interesting. Draw. But we are not as powerful as witches, and we can't draw, Yanhua muttered. How can Niujiao Niang know how to draw? She even learned to write Chinese characters for a long time before she could write a few. Not to mention drawing, which she has never learned before. It's not like she hasn't tried it before, but everything I drew is a mess. Wu, let's forget it. We don't know how to draw, so she won't be able to understand even if we draw those things. Shalan shook her cat ears. When she thought about the painting she drew last time, she always felt that it was like a dark history and a bit unsightly. It doesn't matter, I can teach you how to draw. It can be simpler, not so complicated, Subai smiled. Of course he has seen the paintings of girl comics, but they can't be called paintings, not even abstract paintings. Good. Yanhua nodded repeatedly, her desire to try something was ignited, and she looked eager to give it a try. Then I'll paint too. Anyway, I haven't seen Keek for so long, so I just want to ask her. Shalan also said immediately. In this case, I also want to draw, and I also miss Coco a little. Yu Ying immediately followed. The fox-eared girl was relatively close to the blonde girl at that time, because the two of them stayed in Yong'an building the longest. Subai spread out a pen and paper in front of everyone and asked, you guys, do you know what pattern to draw for Coco? He wants to hear what everyone thinks so that he can teach everyone how to draw. Draw us all in, and by the way, Draw Coco too, but draw her further away, Yanhua began to explain eloquently. The horn girl can't help but laugh when she talks about being excited. She looks so much like a conductor. You have thought so much, but can you draw? Subai brought the other party back to reality with one sentence. He felt that Niojiao Niang wanted too many elements, and if he painted them all, it would look too complicated. Not to mention that he couldn't understand it himself. He didn't understand the painting at all. I can't understand it even more. This is a picture expressing my longing and greetings, not a picture of a heavenly book for the other party to read. Woo, how to draw it? Yanhua pouted her little mouth pitifully. Look at it, I will show you a demonstration first, and then you can follow the drawing, Subai said helplessly. He could only demonstrate it to everyone first, otherwise everyone wouldn't know what they would draw. Thank you, Wu Yanhua smiled happily. Shalan and Yu Ying immediately came to their faces and looked at Subai's strokes carefully. Please update for support and customization. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 865. Yanhua and the others followed suit and painted several times, but it was obvious that what they drew was not ideal. The drawings are all crooked, but they are barely passable. Of course, this is just because Subai feels qualified, because there is no other way. They have drawn it several times and for a long time. This version is already the best one. Wu, can you really send these paintings to the sea fish tribe? Yanhua looked at the painting with satisfaction. It's hard to say that Niojiao Niang is still very satisfied now. At least it's better than the ones she painted at the beginning. Well, she thinks it's very beautiful, but no matter what others think her painting, how about the painting? I believe Coco will be able to understand. Shalan also looked at the painting with great satisfaction. She also deliberately added a lot on it, and also completely included the six-eyed red bird captured today. Why do I find it difficult? Yu Ying pursed her lips and looked at the painting. She often watched Subai paint, and she was also the one who often leaned next to her and watched carefully. Because she had seen so many beautiful paintings, now she is looking at herself and her. The paintings drawn by the two people feel a bit awkward no matter how you look at them. Let alone understanding them, the other person may not even know what this thing is. Ha 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 ha, Subai smiled heartily and said lightly, as long as you are happy, just sort it out and let the messenger bird send it out. He didn't want to say too much. Anyway, what he was doing now was mainly for happiness. There is no need to capture the other person's drawings so accurately. After all, they don't know how to draw. They can just learn to draw slowly later. Anyway, the blonde girl probably came back soon, and it didn't matter whether the other party could understand it or not. Yes, I will let someone arrange it. Shalan nodded repeatedly, turned around and asked the people waiting at the door to send him out. Wu, how do you want to arrange the six-eyed red bird? Yanhua suddenly asked. 1 second the horned lady was very happy, but the next second she immediately thought of the six-eyed red bird she had just captured. Do you want one? Subai raised his eyebrows slightly. Before he waited for the other party's answer, he actually already knew what the other party's answer would be. Yes, which, can I have one? Yanhua nodded repeatedly, with expectation written all over her face. She really liked the six-eyed red bird. If she hadn't just wanted to paint, she would have asked this question long ago. Of course, if you like it, go ahead and choose one, Subai answered without hesitation. He saw the other person's face looking forward to it, and also a little nervous. It was obvious that he was waiting for a definite answer. But Subai also liked the other person's state, that is, the other party did not just start so reserved. After all, he is still a shaman of the tribe, and everyone has to respect him. but he doesn't like Yanhua and he is too restrained, which makes it a bit boring. It's good to be in a relaxed state like now, and this is also the first time the other party asks for something. Really? Can I really own a six-eyed red bird? Yanhua asked in disbelief. She never thought that the other party would agree so readily. She didn't think about it at all. She felt like she got the answer before she even finished speaking. Why not? You have to catch it yourself, and there is nothing wrong with you wanting one. Subai spread his hands. Originally, he had already thought of whom to give these six-eyed red birds to, and among them was the horned lady. Thank you. Wu Yanhua hugged Subai happily and kissed Subai on the cheek. After Niojiao Niang finished the series of actions, she was a little stunned. She didn't know what to do for a while, and her face she immediately turned red and reached out to cover her face with embarrassment. Yanhua kept muttering in her heart, "Oh my God, who knows what I was doing just now? Was the me I was really doing? Is it something?" At this moment, she could be said to be so embarrassed that she scratched her toes on the floor to get out of the 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. She wished she could find a hole in the ground to crawl in. Go ahead and choose one. Subai was also frightened by this action. But he was also happy inside, and he only reacted after being stunned for a second. He saw the other person's blushing face and thought it was really cute, and he also knew that the other assassin must be very embarrassed. So I thought of an excuse to let her out. Yes, I'll go now. Yanhua didn't dare to lift her head and ran out. She kept covering her face when she ran out, and the blush on her face didn't fade at all. Tap tap tap. Shalan was obviously also stunned. She never thought that Yanhua would be so big. Of course she knew that the other party liked Subai, but she didn't expect that he would reveal his feelings so quickly. And he also made such a crazy move, which was really too courageous. You must know that Subai is a witch. Even though he looks very young, he is very approachable towards them. But after all, he is still a witch, and he is the supreme manager of the Yanlong tribe. Crazy, really crazy. Witch, Awada, she didn't mean it, she was probably exhausted today. Shalan explained quickly. She must have helped to explain. No one knows what the witch thinks about Yanhua. The action of the horned lady just now can be said to be very offensive. Before she can figure out the witch's thoughts, I need to explain it to the other party. But I don't know why, Shalan feels very uncomfortable in her heart. This feeling can't be explained. She feels sour in her heart for no reason, and her mood is a little irritable. Wu, forgive Sister Ahua, she must be too happy, so, Yu Ying immediately followed suit to smooth things over. Obviously, the youngest fox-eared girl was the one who was the most frightened, and she also felt that the action just now was very crazy. If she hadn't covered her mouth in time, Yanhua's action just now might have made Yu Ying scream. However, the fox-eared girl also felt a little uncomfortable in her heart, and she seemed to feel a little blocked. She doesn't hate Yanhua, but she actually admires the other party's action. Maybe she is so envious because the horned lady has done something she has never dared to do. It doesn't matter, Alan, do you like the six-eyed red bird? You can also pick one if you like. Subai shook his head slightly. Well, I'm fine, Wu can arrange it for someone else. Shalan breathed a sigh of relief after reacting. But he also felt a little different in his heart, that is, he felt a little envious of Wu and Yanhua. Then go take a rest, you must be exhausted today. Subai said gently, reaching out and rubbing the other person's head. It was obvious that the other person was thinking too much. Good. Shalan nodded. Second update, please support and customize. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 866. Yanhua was very upset at the moment and kept thinking about it when she left Yong'an building. She bit her lower lip tightly, and Nanan said, "Oh my God, how did I do that action just now? Oh my God, my God, my God." The horned lady shook her head as she walked, stopping and walking. He's like the kind of person who forgets to turn off the gas when he goes out. She stood there in the square and kept slapping her head. She began to resent herself for being a little too bold. Although Wu is very easy to get along with and treats us well, did my action just now scare Wu? Yanhua was extremely annoyed. She thought about it in another person's shoes and felt that if it had been Subai just now, he would have been shocked. Not to mention that their identities were a little different, it was impossible in that situation just now. That thing will happen. Yanhua turned around and looked at Yong'an building, sighing deeply. How can I go back now? I don't even dare to face them anymore. Niojiao Niang felt that she was really embarrassed. What should she do tonight? We still have dinner. Her actions just now must have scared Shalan and Yueying. Thinking of this, she dared not go back even more. Oh my god, what am I doing? Yanhua frantically grabbed her long black hair. Some people passing by didn't know what the horned lady was doing. They looked like they were under a curse. They were either talking to themselves, slapping their foreheads, grabbing their hair, or stamping their feet. Such actions. At this time, there were adults taking children away from Yanhua, and specifically warned not to get close to her, saying that she didn't know what kind of disease she had. Yanhua only reacted after hearing what the adults said, and sighed deeply. Indeed, everything has happened, what else can I do? She tidied up her messed up hair. The most important thing now is not to talk to herself here. Otherwise, people passing by will think something happened to her. This is also an embarrassing thing. Tap tap tap. Yanhua stepped away, got on the carriage and headed towards the edge of the tribe. The place where the tribe kept animals was set up on the edge of the tribe. Half an hour later, Yanhua arrived at the place where the six-eyed red bird was kept. This place was a temporary wooden shed. There is no shelter around, only the top is protected from sunlight and rain. This wooden shed was temporarily built by Subai for the convenience of raising six-eyed red birds in captivity. Of course, they had people build it before Shalan and the others set out. Since it was just a simple wooden shed, it didn't take much time to build. Yeju, I'm here. Yanhua got off the carriage and ran all the way over. The warriors of the Yanlong tribe also have another preferential treatment, that is, they don't have to take out dried meat to exchange for labor when riding in the carriage. Of course, the coachman will also register these times. I will ask the chief for dried meat compensation. All the dried meat compensation is taken from the inventory of the Yanlong tribe, because these cart drivers cannot be allowed to make this trip in vain. After all, they also rely on these labors to survive, so the compensation, there must be compensation. Why did you come suddenly? Didn't I ask you to report to the witch? Yeju asked doubtfully. She was still comforting these six-eyed red birds, because they came to a strange environment and were in a tribe with so many people. It was inevitable that they would be a little anxious and kept circling in circles uneasily. And they kept after making a clear cry. The wolf-eared girl had to stop and comfort her first. Wu said he could give me a six-eyed red bird, so he asked me to come over and pick one first. Yanhua grinned happily. This was what she said when she was riding a six-eyed red bird in the forest. She must be happy to have it come true now. I see, it seems that Wu is really good to you. Yeju had a smile on her cold face. But she suddenly had a strange feeling in her heart, that is, she was quite envious of the relationship between Niojiao Niang and Subai. We. Yanhua did not answer directly, but grinned, but a blush crept onto her face. She recalled what she had just done in Yong'an building, and her face turned red involuntarily. And he couldn't help but bite his lower lip, feeling that awkward feeling coming back again. But at the same time, I also felt very happy, and the blush on my face proved everything. Maybe I have always wanted to do this kind of thing in my heart, but I have never dared to do it, so I couldn't help but do that action at that moment. After doing that action, I felt more comfortable than ever before, but when I think about it later, I also want to die. What's wrong with you? Is it uncomfortable? Why is your face so red? Yeju is a straight girl. She doesn't understand what the other person has been through, and she doesn't even understand that the crimson on the other person's face means shyness. The wolf-eared girl only knows that such behavior in the wild should be regarded as illness, and she must find a witch immediately. Just deal with it? I'm not feeling uncomfortable. Yeju recommends a six-eyed red bird to me. Yanhua immediately changed the subject. She would not tell the other party that her face turned red because she kissed a witch. This was a bit too embarrassing. This is your own six-eyed red bird, so it is more appropriate for you to choose it yourself. Yeju doesn't like to make decisions for the other party. This is what Lang Niang has always done, and it was the same when she wanted to join the Yanlong tribe. Then I don't have to choose, I'll just choose the one I tamed at the beginning. Yanhua walked towards that one without hesitation. Of course, the appearance of the six-eyed red bird is not much different, it's just a difference in body size. Of course. Yanhua can't tell the difference, but the six-eyed red bird can. It screamed when it saw the horned lady coming. And when the other party was talking to Yeju, it kept rubbing Yanhua's face almost intimately. Okay, then take him out for a run. Maybe he's not used to it in the tribe, Yeju said. Okay, I'll take it out for a run. Yanhua really wants to run out and relax. From the time she left Yong'an building to now, she still feels her face is burning. Now it will be better to go for a run on the six-eyed red bird. By the way, did Wu say how to distribute the remaining six-eyed red birds? Yeju asked. To be honest, her desire for the six-eyed red bird is not that great. There is no other reason, because she has a two-tailed wild wolf. No, the two-tailed wolf is following Yeju obediently. Next to it, it looks particularly well behaved. Those who know it know that it is a ferocious beast. Those who don't know think that there is a wild dog next to it. Wu hasn't said anything yet, but you can ask Yanhua rode on the six-eyed red bird and left without looking back. Tap tap tap. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 867. By the way, is there still no news about the stonethorn tree's mark? Subai suddenly asked. He had just been standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window looking at the horn girl in the square. It was really cute to see her going crazy and talking to herself. At the same time, the two girls in the living room also, they were very embarrassed, all because of Yanhua's action just now. They were all worried that the witch would be angry. After all, the witch was the supreme being, and he was kissed unexpectedly. Oh, Shalan only reacted after being asked the question and said quickly, there is still no news for the time being. The last time she, Yanhua and Moth set out 3 days after marking the mark, they went there and waited for a long time. No news. Waiting until the sun was about to go down, the three of them had no choice but to take a hot air balloon back to the Yanlong tribe. It has been 6 or 7 days since the marking was made, and there is still no news. Cat-eared girl and others have already gone to the stonethorn tree twice, but still haven't found any changes. I see, it's tomorrow until the third time we go, right? Subai asked. He initially suspected that someone from the other party had already gone, but he left without waiting for anyone. But the answer from Moth was that it was impossible, because if the intelligence personnel went to the marked place and could not wait, people, they will also make some marks next to them to indicate that they have been there. Yes, tomorrow it's time to go to Gaoji's office again. Shalan nodded. Okay, then you should be careful when you go out, Subai said with concern. Wu, actually I have a question whether Moth is lying to us. Maybe their method of handing over information is not like this at all. Shat. Lan continued with worry on his face. It's very possible that this mark is the mark that asked them to send people here. Maybe our tribe has been targeted. When the cat-eared girl went to the mark for the first time and didn't see the corresponding person, she actually started to have doubts in her heart. But she believed what Wu said at the time, so naturally she didn't ask any more questions. But when the second after going there again, she found that there was still no one there. At this time, Sha Yian's suspicion reached its peak. She also asked Subai at that time, and the answer she got was to have another look. Now she is about to start again. They went to the marketplace 3 times, so the cat-eared girl was still very worried. No one was there the previous 2 times, maybe because the other party hadn't arrived yet, but this time maybe there was someone waiting for them there. Shalan fantasized about several ways, thinking that going this time might be a trap for herself. It's impossible. People have been staring at Moth these past few days, and she is very well behaved and does whatever she is asked to do. Su Bai kept tapping his fingers on the table and continued, maybe it's really the people from the Dark Scorpion tribe who haven't seen the mark yet, but they can't hurt us anyway, can they? Yanhua and the others all set off in a hot air balloon. They were always flying high in the sky. How could people on land find them? And even if they found someone ambushing near the mark, Yanhua and others would not be able to find them at high altitude. They can be found. He is not worried about this at all. If the other party really has an ambush, it will not hurt Yanhua and the others. Otherwise, he will not let the girls participate in the mission with confidence. He still has plans. Wu, how about just in case, we won't go this time, Shalan said worriedly. The cat-eared lady always felt uneasy, and there was always a feeling that danger was coming. Don't worry, you are flying in the air. If the other party is really in danger, you can detect it in advance, Subai said gently. He really wanted to crush the Dark Scorpion tribe, otherwise he wouldn't trust Momo. The most important thing he didn't say was that when the girls were training, he called Momo alone to Yong'an. Floor. The two of them got together and talked for a very long time. All those questions became clear because of this discussion. I understand, for the safety of the tribe, I think I should make this trip tomorrow, Shalan responded seriously. She was still worried about being cheated at first, but later she heard that prevention could be done in advance. She immediately felt that she should go there without any hesitation this time. Thank you for your hard work. If it's still not available tomorrow, I'll find another place. Subai raised his head and said. He may also think that it was because of the location that the intelligence agents were not found for the time being. Understand, if there is still no change in that sign tomorrow, we will look for a stonethorn tree again. Shalan nodded. Let's do this. You can bring more people with you tomorrow, just in case someone from the other side is actually ambushing over there, Subai added. He still wanted to dispel the girls' worries, also to ensure their safety. Good. Shalan shook her cat ears and asked curiously, how are we going to distribute the remaining 6-eyed red birds? Good question, this is also an important part. Subai raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Shalan tilted his neck in confusion and asked, is there any new arrangement? Well, I plan to form a cavalry team, which means having warriors ride on the backs of 6-eyed red birds to fight, Subai explained. Yes, this is the plan he has been conceiving. This plan came up since he saw the 6-eyed red bird. Cavalry? That would be cool. Shalan opened her blue eyes wide, and she instantly became excited. Right, so you still need to select personnel, Subai said with a smile. He didn't know much about the warriors in the tribe. The only ones who really understood them were the warriors, and the cat-eared girl was the most suitable choice. But Subai began to think in his heart that even the cat-eared girl thought it was cool. Yanhua, who has always liked this aspect, will definitely feel better. It's just that the silly girl has now left the tribe on a 6-eyed red bird, otherwise she would be the only one jumping up and down now. Got it, I'll choose. Shalan nodded immediately. Let me tell you my requirements. These people must be agile enough and bold. Subai thought seriously for a moment and continued, not only that, but you also need to have good archery skills. This is his current request. It is definitely impossible for me to ask the other party to have good riding skills. After all, no one in this era has ever ridden a horse. Needless to say, riding skills can only be improved slowly in the future. Trained. Understand, which, are there any requirements for the character of a totem warrior? Shalan asked. The cat-eared girl still felt that she had to ask. After all, many tribes believe that men are superior to women. Although this phenomenon is not common in the Yanlong tribe, everyone still feels this way in their hearts. It doesn't matter, those who have the ability will live there, Subai said lightly. Of course he understands this, but it's just that he can't change it all at once. He can only change it slowly. Yes, Shayan's answer was very loud and clear. She didn't know why, but she always felt that witches should be able to change this. Second update, please support and customize. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 868. The people of the poisonous moth tribe have been advancing in the forest, and Jean has been leading everyone forward. It had been quite a while since they left the tribe's original territory, probably more than 10 days. There used to be about 1,000 people in the tribe, but now there are only 400 to 500 people left. It's easy to see why. If you don't give up the relatively stable life in the tribe and rush directly into the dense virgin forest, you will definitely be attacked from both sides. In addition to the terrain threats in the forest, there is another threat that is also the biggest threat, and that is those vicious beasts that bite people. Let's not talk about whether they will encounter people from other tribes in the forest, but those ferocious beasts are enough for them to deal with. How much longer do we have to move forward? I have been away from the tribe for many days. I'm so hungry now that I really can't walk anymore. Will we die in the forest soon? If I had known this, I wouldn't have left the original tribe. Chief, where is our destination? Didn't you say you were going back to the Dark Scorpion tribe? That is, many people in our tribe have died, and we will encounter ferocious beasts if we continue to move forward, so what should we do now? Some people in the crowd have already begun to complain, and everyone's minds are almost completely wiped out. They had long been unable to bear the long journey of being hungry and tired, and were always worried about the dangers in the forest. If I hadn't relied on the belief that I could go to the Dark Scorpion tribe right away, I would have been unable to hold on within a few days of leaving the tribe. Not to mention that they have been out for more than 10 days now, and they are watching the tribe members die in the mouths of vicious beasts. Don't worry, we will reach our destination soon, please be patient. The detective immediately appeased everyone. He didn't want these people to complain at the moment. If they complained more, some people would feel more and more uncomfortable. Then everyone would start to make trouble, which would delay the progress of the journey. And he will also lose a lot of protection. Of course, protection does not rely on these people to protect him. The point is that when ferocious beasts appear, these ordinary people without any totem power are the best targets. There are also enough give him time and other totem warriors to leave. Such a good bait cannot cause civil strife. The chief has said this many times, but aren't we on our way now? Could it be that he just lied to us? We don't want to be a tribe in exile. I remember that the Dark Scorpion tribe was not in this direction. Is the chief lost? Should we reroute? When can we reach the Dark Scorpion tribe if we continue like this? The people in the crowd are no longer so easy to deceive, not to mention that these excuses have been made several times. No matter how stupid they are, they will not be stupid enough to be deceived by the same excuse many times. Now is of course the time to ask the question. There is nothing wrong with the road here, don't you believe me? I wouldn't ride the wrong way. Zhen could only say the sentence. He began to feel a little guilty in his heart. What the crowd said was indeed true. Now the direction of the poison moth tribe is indeed not the dark scorpion tribe, but has been looking for other tribes. Prepare act according to the previous plan, which is to find a small tribe to pretend to be pitiful. Then let the small tribe take in the poisonous moth tribe, so that it can devour that tribe. If you tell this plan directly to the people in the tribe, they will definitely be the same. They are unwilling. There is no reason, just because they cannot risk their lives. Moreover, they have lived well in the tribe before, and no one would travel so far away from the tribe to do something uncertain. The rainy season is coming soon. Can we really return to the dark scorpion tribe before the rainy season? I roughly calculated that there are still more than 10 days before the rainy season arrives. If we are going the wrong way, we will return. That's right, there are still more than 10 days left for us to rush back to the poisonous moth tribe. Chief, we'd better go back, I don't want to die in the forest. There were another burst of complaints. Everyone was impatient. Everyone was afraid of dying in the forest. Believe me, I'm right, just take this path. If you don't believe it, then I have nothing to say. Zhen is really feeling guilty. He didn't expect that what these people said was so heartbreaking that he almost guessed his plan. Chief, we all believed in you and followed you to leave the tribe. You can't just stall us like this, right? We just think this is dangerous. If the danger can be avoided, why not avoid it? Is there something the chief is hiding from us? We shouldn't be going back to the dark scorpion tribe now, right? Is the chief going to join other tribes? In this case, why don't you go in after passing so many tribes along the way? Different voices began to emerge from the crowd, and everyone began to discuss heatedly. Yes, we are not going back to the dark scorpion tribe now, we are going to other tribes. Jean was helpless. What those people said just guessed his plan, so he could only tell everyone in detail. I think everyone should be more or less suspicious of the fact that everyone was used as a shield along the way. If he doesn't tell the truth, I'm afraid these people will start a big fight in the forest, which will attract a lot of ferocious beasts. Chief, how could you do this? We don't want to grow stronger, it would be good if we can save our lives. Let's go back quickly, otherwise we will die in the forest sooner or later. Yes, no one knows what lies ahead, but we still have a way out. I want to go back, I want to go back to the poisonous moth tribe, it's better there than in the forest. The crowd was once again excited. Everyone who knew the truth was very scared. It's useless. It will take more than 10 days to go back. There must be many ferocious beasts waiting for us along the way. We have no way out, Zhen shouted loudly. At this moment, he didn't care whether the loud volume would attract vicious beasts. He just wanted to vent his anger. But if we continue to move forward, it will lead to a dead end, so why not go back and be safer? If there are no more tribes before the rainy season, we are really done. Go back, go back. Everyone was begging to go back, and the remaining totem warriors were at a loss as they knew that suppressing them with force was wrong. Before the detective finished speaking, he was interrupted by a series of voices. Rustling. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 869. The people of the poisonous moth tribe were all afraid. This sound was so familiar that everyone who was familiar with it was afraid. Nothing else. Whenever this kind of noise was made before, it was because a vicious beast was about to attack. Everyone has been attacked by ferocious beasts too many times, so this time everyone is very scared. Coming again? Coming again? No, didn't you just experience it once yesterday? I just hope it's a smaller beast this time, and even more, I hope it's an easy beast to deal with. God, I have given up. How can people avoid these frequent attacks? We are not totem warriors or reserve warriors. We cannot even defeat wild beasts. How could we possibly defeat ferocious beasts? Help, the chief must save us. Sounds like this kept coming from the crowd, and everyone was really scared. If the people of the poisonous moth tribe can do something, those totem warriors can really play a protective role. Ordinary people are no longer so frightened every time a ferocious beast attacks. As long as it's not too difficult to deal with, those totem warriors will step forward to help deal with it. But once they encounter a high-level ferocious beast or a difficult ferocious beast, the totem warrior simply does not want to intervene. Everyone hid behind the soldiers to see what the ferocious beast was. This time the detective waved his hand. He felt that it was time for the soldiers to start to intervene, and there were indeed not many people left. Now that there are so many people left, it means that these people's physical strength is still good, and we cannot let these people go. All people were killed in the mouths of ferocious beasts. Even if they wanted to annex other small tribes, they would still have to have manpower. It would be unrealistic for those warriors to annex them by then. If these few $100 cannot be saved now down, they can't annex other tribes. There are also a lot of people from other tribes. Although these ordinary people are not as powerful as the warriors, they can still act as a deterrent in terms of numbers. Very good, everyone is not so nervous anymore. This is the first time since the tribe left the forest that the chief has asked the soldiers to protect ordinary people. Rustling. There were sounds of scraping leaves, and a group of people walked out of the dense woods. "Who are you?" The detective was obviously stunned. But he was a little relieved when he saw that it was someone. Even if the opponent was a soldier, he would not be afraid. Because there were not many people on the opponent, only more than 20 people in total, but there were hundreds of them. "I also want to ask you, what are so many people gathering here for?" "There are no tribes around here either," Zhang asked vigilantly. "This group of people coming out of the bushes are the people from the giant bear tribe. They are about to go to the Yanlong tribe. They are still walking through the familiar route according to the previous rules, but suddenly they keep feeling someone. They walked over here to take a look. But what surprised them was that there were so many people in this group. They were almost like a small tribe." "You are going to the spotted deer tribe to exchange things, right?" Zhen didn't remember the conflict. Because there were several totem warriors on the other side who looked very powerful, although he was not afraid of them. But it had been more than 10 days since they left the tribe, and the warriors were already very tired mentally. If you can avoid war, try to avoid war and don't cause unnecessary conflicts. "We are going to the Yanlong tribe to exchange things, but you haven't answered my question yet." Zhang Ke is not afraid at all. This is probably the strength of the big tribe. He is ready for a battle at any time. Because these people in front of him make him feel very uncomfortable. I don't know why, but I think these people are too strange. The rainy season is coming soon, and the tribe we are in is not in a good location, so we have to change places, Jinya said without hesitation. Anyway, he didn't tell the real truth, he just told a small part of the truth. "So that's the case, then you should hurry up, otherwise you will easily become a rogue tribe," Zhang reminded disdainfully. He could only wish these people good luck in his heart, because the rainy season was coming soon. There were hundreds of people in front of him, and it was not easy to find a truly suitable place to settle down. However, he was also very happy in his heart. He was simply born and raised in a large tribe and did not have to worry about these things. Sure enough, a small tribe is a small tribe, and they have to worry about the rainy season anytime and anywhere, Li Xiao muttered softly. It can be seen that those people are very tired, and I don't know if they can persist to the new place. Luo patted his big belly. He didn't care about the final outcome of these people. Now he just wanted to go to the Yanlong tribe to eat right away. "By the way, I want to ask, what kind of tribe is the Yanlong tribe? Why do you go there to exchange things? How come I haven't heard of this tribe before? The detective asked. After being away from the tribe for more than 10 days, he was finally able to talk to a living person, and he also got a small clue. The people in the poison moth tribe were very puzzled. Of course, what they were puzzled about was when would they return. A market tribe has appeared. Obviously in this forest, the most famous market tribe is the spotted deer tribe. The other tribes have never heard of any tribe opening a market. Even if a tribe opens a market, they can't help it. New. Just take a look and see for yourself. The things inside are worth redeeming. I can only tell you this much. Zhang stopped paying attention to them. He turned around and continued to leave with the soldiers. They had to go to the Yanlong tribe to exchange things. This time was their last exchange of goods. Tap tap tap. Zhang looked at their retreating figures, frowned and murmured to himself, the Yanlong tribe. Maybe we can go there to try our luck in the end. He had no choice but to find a suitable tribe before the rainy season. I plan to finally try my luck with the Yanlong tribe. You don't want to go to the Yanlong tribe, do you? Wu Wu stepped forward from the crowd. He was ready with witchcraft at any time because he was afraid that the people from the giant bear tribe would attack. I'm not sure, but if last resort, maybe go there. Zhen shook his head. Okay, then you should send someone to follow first. This plan was indeed miscalculated, Wu Wu ordered. They had made precise plans before leaving the tribe, but it's just that God's calculations are not as good as those of humans. Clear. Zhen turned his head and motioned for the two warriors behind him to come up. He whispered in the ears of the two warriors and ordered the mission, and then the two people left quickly. They followed closely behind the giant bear tribe, in order to just in case. Second update, please support and customize. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 870. Sudbai blinked his black eyes and looked at the books issued by the system. He had been reading them all day today. He kept tapping his fingers lightly on the table, looking at it with great interest, and he didn't even know that the tea in the cup was finished. He kept reaching for the cup and bringing it to his mouth, not even noticing that no tea was poured into his mouth. Wu, what are you reading? It was so fascinating to watch Yu Ying witness the series of actions from the side. She originally wanted to go forward and pour tea immediately, but she was so amused by the scene that she forgot about it. Oh, I'm reading some management books, but I have nothing to do anyway, Sudbai said lightly. Indeed, early in the morning he had finished all the witch dominoes that he should make today, and then the development of the tribe was relatively stable, and there was nothing to worry about. The construction of the house has been going on steadily. The management of farmland is the same. The work arrangements of the people in the tribe are all handled by the chiefs, and the training of the warriors is done by warehouse stones. The work on the city wall is in progress steadily, and there are also dedicated personnel for the management of the large market. The staff are managing. What can Sudbai have to worry about? What he has to do every day is to convert the talents and skills that can be used every day into witch dominoes. Now that he can read a book leisurely, it must be something that he has to be busy with. It's done. And Sudbai stopped here to read a book before he thought about some things about the development of the tribe. So that's it? Does Wu need to draw the contents of the book this time? Yu Ying asked curiously. You probably don't need to, I'll just finish it, Sudbai responded with a wry smile. He would roughly sort out the books that were originally published from the system, and finally let professionals study them. Of course, the way he sorted them out was to draw some important things in the form of paintings. Otherwise those people would not be able to understand what is in the book. This is why Sudbai sometimes has to be busy every day even though he does not need to do much. What he is busy with every day is to read the contents of the book, sorting out the paintings, and then letting the people below to see and execute them. This operation made Sudbai feel very tired and helpless. What was tiring was that there was so much content in the book, and it really had to be done with paintings. It takes a lot to express in the form of words. Subai never thought that he would have to pick up the paintbrush again after traveling to this world. What made him feel helpless was that no one knew how to write, so he could only continue to be exhausted like this. Wu, what is probably the content of this book? Yu Ying asked curiously. She has been learning characters very quickly recently, and can learn dozens of characters a day. Fox Ear Girl is the fastest among everyone to learn characters, and now she can master hundreds of characters. Some comparisons: she already knows basic writing, so she should be able to write a very ordinary letter if she is asked to do so. I could use a book on how to make your tribe a better place. Would you like to read it? Subai asked. Can I understand it? Yu Ying is actually a little eager to give it a try. It will probably take a while. I'll wait until you learn more about writing before reading it. Subai closed the book. There are a lot of words in this book that Fox Ear Girl has not read, so she will not let the other party read it for the time being. Yes, Yu Ying aroused her enthusiasm to learn more Chinese characters. After all, she heard that this book was about the development of tribes, and she also wanted to contribute more to the tribes. By the way, how is the literacy situation of the furry children in the tribe? Has everyone's level improved? Subai asked. Since he talked about writing, he wanted to pay attention to the literacy situation of everyone in the tribe. It is really difficult to teach everyone to learn writing in primitive tribes, so he must always provide guidance. Everyone's learning situation. If everyone's learning is relatively smooth, he will continue to teach in this mode. But if everyone is struggling to learn, they need to change their learning mode. Although everyone can read slowly, but can they learn faster? It's better to go as fast as possible. He doesn't want most people in the future city to be illiterate, which will be a bit difficult to manage. Only when everyone is somewhat literate will they accept some relatively new reforms, which will be beneficial to the tribe in the future. Development will be better. The furry children are still very passionate about literacy, and according to Wu Gei's method, they also learn very quickly. Yu Ying recalled the situation in the classroom and continued: there are some students who are not so talented. They will work hard when they go back at night, and they will take the initiative to report their study status to me the next day. The fox-eared girl kept explaining the situation in the school, with a smile on her face from time to time. It can be seen that Yu Ying is still very happy, otherwise she would be filled with hatred when talking about this matter. After all, those furry kids are famous troublemakers in the tribe, otherwise they wouldn't be called furry kids. Are they actually so willing to learn Chinese characters? Did you do anything besides the original reward you gave them? Subai asked. He didn't think those stupid kids would study Chinese characters very seriously. There would always be people who didn't like learning at any time. No matter how difficult the living environment around them was, there would always be some indifferent people. I mainly did ideological work for the father and mother of the furry children, and told them many benefits of learning Chinese characters. Yu Ying shrugged her shoulders, a little embarrassed. She didn't dare to raise her head and look at Subai directly, and she didn't know when a blush appeared on her face. That's it? I asked them how they became so fond of learning. Tell me, how did you do ideological work with them? Subai asked curiously. I told them that if their children could read when they grew up, not only would they be valued by witches, but they would also have endless amounts of dried meat to eat every day. Yu Ying lowered her head and clasped her fingers, and continued: you can still live in a good house, and you can eat fresh vegetables when the ice and snow comes. The fox-eared girl plucked off all the fingers on both hands and still couldn't count them. She looked down at her toes and gave up. She stared straight at Subai's fingers again, and silently clasped his fingers for him in her heart. Yu Ying kept talking like this for more than 10 minutes, and when she was thirsty, she couldn't help but lick her lips. So cute. Subai couldn't help but said. Wu, what's wrong? Yu Ying was a little at a loss after being interrupted. No, you did very well. Subai praised the other party's approach. It was indeed a good job. I'm honored to be able to help the wizard. The blush on Yu Ying's face became even redder. Subai rubbed the other person's head and said gently, since the little ones learn quickly, let the adults catch up with the progress. Adults must have begun to read, but the progress of literacy is not as fast as that of children. Those adults only have time to read at night, and the time to read is not long, because they have to go to bed early and then work the next day. Clear. Yu Ying nodded heavily. Please update for support and customization. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 871. Subai took out the teaching materials that he had compiled all day yesterday and handed them over. Xiao, this is a new teaching material. You have to study it first. Fox-eared girl is actually the most tired one. Every time there is a new teaching material, it comes out. Every time, she has to be the first to grasp it. Not only must you master the content in the textbook, but you must also be very familiar with it, so that you can become a teacher. Understand, Wu, what is the content of this teaching? Yu Ying asked curiously. Niang has already learned numbers, simple Chinese characters, and some simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Of course, those additions, subtractions, multiplications, and divisions are all single digits, so they won't be particularly difficult for everyone at the beginning. Simple Chinese characters are also commonly used characters, such as hello, thank you, goodbye, eat, etc. The new content this time is Chinese phrases. After learning these, you will understand more. Subai opened the text. He pointed to one of the phrases and explained, for example, this phrase is dinner. Did you learn 2 words at once? Subai was actually a little confused because he felt that the words for dinner were a bit too difficult and there were too many strokes on them. However, he later thought of a simpler way, which was to simplify the word dinner and only keep the upper part. I want to wait until everyone has learned the word food before I actually teach you the word meal for dinner. It turns out that dinner is these 2 words. It seems really complicated. Yu Ying kept frowning her eyebrows like willow leaves. The fox-eared girl almost closed her eyes and began to recite the strokes of these words silently in her heart. When she saw a word, she found it difficult to write because the strokes were so special. Obviously the word dinner has a lot of strokes, even if the word dinner is simplified. In fact, it is not difficult for you to learn the order of strokes. Look, the first stroke of Wanzi is like this. Subai started teaching 1 stroke at a time on the paper. He is very patient with the fox-eared girl, and his tone of voice when talking to her is also very gentle. Time passed unknowingly, and it was already dusk, and an orange-yellow sunset shone into the living room from the floor-to-ceiling windows. The orange sunset has been falling on the white paper, on the fox-eared girl's pink hair, and on Subai's straight nose. This scene looks quite like a painting, which makes people feel very comfortable. Woo, it's already late. I need to prepare dinner. Yu Ying turned her head and looked at the weather outside. She suddenly felt a little guilty because she was preparing dinner at this time, which meant that she would have to eat it very late. Don't worry, I'm not hungry yet, just take your time. Subai could see what the other party was thinking. Although she had been with him for a year, she still felt a little nervous sometimes. Of course, the fear here was not for himself, but because she felt that she had not done anything. I feel a little guilty. Yes, Yu Ying's guilty heart was relieved a little, and she turned around and ran into the kitchen. Subai looked at the back of the fox-eared girl swaying her hips and leaving, and smiled lightly. I hope she can relax herself soon. He definitely doesn't want the other person to be too restrained, so that he always feels that life is a little uncomfortable. The next step is to perfect the tribe. Subai frowned and came to the floor-to-ceiling window. He stood in front of the window for a long time, and then asked the maid to pass the message. He planned to hold the first meeting of the Yanlong tribe. Tap tap tap. Half an hour later, some senior members of the tribe gathered in Yong'an building. They all looked a little confused, not knowing what they were going to do this time. Wu, are we going to talk about coping with the coming rainy season this time? Yan Jiao asked first. He was also the person around the table, including Kanji, Qinjian, Yeju, Shahong, etc., all of whom came to attend the meeting. And this was the first time for everyone to sit around a table like this. This feeling made him feel very strange. Obviously when he came to Yong'an building before, he always stood, but now he is still a little uncomfortable sitting. Wu, don't worry, we will definitely be prepared before the rainy season arrives, Kang Shi also said immediately. He was also very confused and curious about the situation of this discussion. This time I called you here not only to talk about the rainy season, but also to talk about some more important things, Subai said seriously. Yes, everyone responded in unison for some reason. We rarely see such an expression on witches. Generally, witches are very approachable, but this time the expression is very different. There is a different feeling in the deep black eyes. After all, he is still a witch. Even at a young age, he still makes people feel oppressed. Where does the food source that reaches our tribe come from? Subai asked first. Although he is usually very approachable, he still has to be serious when he should be serious, like now. In the past, we relied on hunting teams to hunt, but now our food sources rely on my big market, Yan Jiao replied. In addition, we rely on the crops produced in our farmland, which is also one of our main sources of food, Kang Shi also added. So do you think the current way of hunting is better or worse than the way you hunted before? Subai continued to ask. It's definitely better than the previous method, so we don't have to run around in the hunting grounds, Kang Shi said immediately. He is the leader of the hunting team, and he feels the same about this. He is indeed much better now than before. And we no longer have to eat meat all the time. Being able to eat wheat is the happiest thing. Yan Jiao said happily. Ever since he tried the taste of wheat, he couldn't put it down. Although it was a very luxury to be able to eat meat before, since he got wheat, he found that he has been eating meat all the time. Meat is really not happy at all. Sometimes Yan Jiao can't help but think that if people from other tribes knew his thoughts, would they look at him with hatred? Other tribes would not be able to eat enough. Let alone talk about eating meat to the point of being afraid. So what do you think about expanding wheat planting? Su Bai picked up a cup of tea and continued to ask. There are also big markets that have also expanded their scope. What do you think? The scope of the tribe will expand more and more in the future, and the population will also increase. Although the food now is just enough for everyone's consumption. Sooner or later it will be used up, so we must take precautions first. Second update, please support and customize. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 872. Yan Jiao and others were all stunned when they heard this. Everyone looked at each other and looked at each other. They have always wondered if they heard it wrong, because the current Yanlong tribe is already very, very good. Of course, this is how they see it. Everyone except Subai thinks that the Yanlong tribe is a fairyland. A good living environment, meat for 3 meals a day, and a place for everyone to live. The most important thing is that no one needs to risk going to the lake to fetch water. The pool in the tribe is enough for everyone. Wu, do we really want to expand the scope of the big market? Yan Jiao asked first. Wu, didn't we carve out a piece of farmland in the forest? Do we still want to continue to develop? Shahong said curiously. She had been listening quietly beside her, but she really couldn't hold back her curiosity. Do you think our tribe will get bigger and bigger in the future? Subai did not directly answer the other party's question. Of course, if our tribe continues to develop in this form, it will definitely grow. Yan Jiao couldn't even answer directly. This was also a question he often considered in the dead of night. Isn't the current tribe bad? No, the current tribe is so good that sometimes he can't sleep at night. Sometimes he can't sleep well at night because this kind of life is so good that he can't believe it. He is even afraid that this good life will suddenly disappear after waking up. This is what causes him to reasons for not sleeping well. Is Wu worried that as the number of people in our tribe increases, there will not be enough food for distribution? Can she changed his mind? Well, of course the food is distributed to us now, and there are still some leftovers, but these leftovers are all in preparation for the rainy season and heavy ice and snow. Subai tapped his index finger lightly on the table and continued, but if our tribe suddenly receives thousands of people, will our food reserves be gone all of a sudden? The witch told me to keep an eye on the people of other tribes, and I have always sent people to keep an eye on them. Yan Jiao suddenly understood and continued to ask, Wu is worried that when the rainy season comes, we will accept too many people, right? Subai asked the chief to do this some time ago, which is to pay attention to the small tribes around the Yanlong tribe. Because the rainy season is coming soon, once the rainy season arrives, many tribes will face destruction. And at this time this is the best time for the Yanlong tribe to accept other tribes, which means that the number of people will definitely increase. There are only more than 10 days until the rainy season arrives, which means that in more than 10 days, we will definitely have to accept a lot of people. Bai nodded lightly, looked at everyone and said, although they all rely on labor in exchange for food, we can't deny food and drink to the people who have just entered our tribe, right? Wu, I agree with expanding the size of the big market, Shahong said unhurriedly. She knew that the witch was definitely not seeking everyone's opinions. With the witch's power, there was no need to ask everyone for their opinions. This time, everyone was summoned to hold the first meeting of the Yanlong tribe. It has another meaning. Wu, I wonder how to expand farmland, Qinjian also asked. He was more curious about farmland, because the things produced from farmland were really surprising. Although the land within the fence will be used by us to plan houses in the future, we currently do not have that many manpower to build houses. Subai slowly took a sip of tea and continued, those disciples' land is just lying there anyway, why don't we make good use of it? Yan Jiao's red eyes widened when he heard this, and he asked seriously, does Wu mean to turn the entire forest into farmland? He couldn't believe it, let alone think about it. If all that large forest was planned to be farmland, the scale of the harvest would be amazing. Although that land is not used yet, it does not need to be planned as farmland all at once. Besides, we don't have that many people to take care of it. Bai shook his head without hesitation and continued, I plan to move all the tribe's workshops outside the tribe, and then the area enclosed by the wooden wall will be used only for residents. This is also his decision after careful consideration. If all the land within the wall is used by the Yanlong tribe to build houses in the future, it will definitely mean that the future workshops will definitely become larger and larger, otherwise the output will not be increased at all. However, it is unrealistic to continue to expand the workshop at the existing location, which will endanger the residential buildings next to it. Therefore, he plans to transfer the workshop directly to the site before it is fully expanded. Go outside. After that, all the places where the workshops were removed will be used to build houses, so that it will become a real central residential area. Wu, if this happens, our secret will be exposed easily. Yan Jiao is very worried about this. Because he knows that the goods of the Yanlong tribe are the most fundamental things for the development of the tribe. If this thing is leaked, it means that other tribes will also develop. Of course I have taken this into consideration. Don't worry, the warriors and soldiers of our tribe are not vegetarians either. Subai's face was full of words, and he continued confidently, as long as patrol soldiers are arranged around the factory, not to mention that the workshops are all built with cement, how are they going to get in? He also specifically asked Yanhua and Shaylin this morning and learned that the current soldiers are fully capable of acting independently. The dozens of soldiers now look like, depending on the strength of the prepared soldiers, as long as they are assigned corresponding weapons, they will be more than enough to serve as offensive and defensive goalkeepers. Woo, but the rainy season is coming soon. We have so many workshops, I'm afraid we can't move them all out at once, Yanjiao continued to ask. He also knew that if the housing was to be moved into the forest, it would inevitably mean that the scope would also be expanded, so he would save the need to do another job later. For the time being, move out the workshops with relatively large output, such as paper workshops and linen workshops. It should be enough to build 1 or 2 workshops first. Subai's mind was spinning rapidly, and he continued to give instructions: don't leave the more confidential ones like the glass workshop for the time being. Understood, I can slow down the construction of the stone house and let them start working on the workshop outside the forest. Yanjiao nodded thoughtfully. He still knew the priority of things. Now the tribe's house must be enough for everyone to live in. The top priority is to build a workshop. Please update for support and customization.